Good morning, virtual villagers. I'm Kate from What Kate Made. Welcome to this session this morning, this lovely summery crafty session on a day that's absolutely not summery at all. I don't know what it's like with you. We're in the northwest, so storm, whatever it's called, Floris, is just about hitting us. It's raining really hard and the wind's blowing really hard. So let's get on with something nice and summery. So I am trying to get your live feed up. Ooh, sorry, I'm just getting myself covered in wet paint. If you just bear with me a second, then I can see your responses and you can see mine. I can also see what I'm doing, which helps with the camera angles. So just give me just 1 second. Right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to make butterflies. We're going to make butterflies. The method is very similar. We're going to use different materials. So I've got some that I've done with paper, and I've got some that I've done with a fabric or a felt. None of them require any sewing, because I know not everybody has access to a sewing machine. You can sew them by hand if you want, but it's not, you don't always get such good results. So the ones I'm going to show you, some are made with felt, which it doesn't fray, so you don't need to worry about that. You can just cut it. And the others are made with fabric. So the first one I'm going to show you actually is this one. Now I'm picking it up rather carefully because it's still damp. So this is made with paper and paint. There should have been a template, I think, on the post for this with the butterfly shapes on it. So this has simply been cut out of black paper, and then the paint splodged on, and then it's folded, and you rub it, and the paint spreads out. So I've got, the reason I'm holding it carefully is because I did this yesterday, and then when I was sat here today waiting for the time to tick over, I thought, oh, I could do the back of that. So I did the back of it as well. So I'm waiting for that to dry now. So that way you can hang your butterfly from a piece of thread and dangle it in a window or whatever, and it'll be paint on both sides. This is a great one for kids. This is dead easy. For tiny kids, even if you cut out the butterflies for them, they can splodge on the paint, and then you just fold it in half and give it a rub, and it squishes out all the paint into the shapes. So that's the one I'm going to show you first. But the other ones we've got, which are probably more suitable for a slightly older child or adult. This is a paper one. It's made using origami paper, which has got colour on one side and white on the other. So that is actually quite attractive, even on the back side of it, the way it's folded. I'll show you how to fold that one. So that's just using paper and a pipe cleaner for the antenna and the body. Again, that can be attached to I have a summer wreath on my door, and it's getting a bit shabby now. It's a couple of years old, so I'm going to replace a lot of the butterflies and flowers on it. And I make a lot of the flowers, not this method with paper, but this method with fabric, because this is using Bondi web, which is like an iron-on glue for fabric. So what it does when you iron it on the fabric, stops the edges fraying. So, and these are more weatherproof, because obviously if your doorway is exposed to the weather, mine it isn't because it's in a porch, but you want something that's going to stand up to rain, because the paper will just disintegrate, whereas the fabric or the felt is quite good. These two are made in a very similar method, in that you fold your material and you fasten it together with wire, string, or in my case with these pipe cleaners. But the folds are a bit more intricate on this one. So what else do you need? You need an iron and some Bondi web. You don't have to use Bondi web, but just be aware that your fabric will fray a little bit. Bondi web is very similar to this Wonder Web, which you get to take hems up on trousers and skirts. In fact, you can use that, but because it's narrow strips, you'll have to put quite a few strips down. But the one I get is on a sheet, and it's got paper on one side and glue on the other. So the advantage is you can draw your shape out on the paper, iron it on, and then cut round it. So you don't have to be drawing on fabric or anything like that. We've got various scissors. I've got good fabric scissors. I've got paper scissors. I've got tiny pointy scissors for little intricate bits. I've also got just a pair of needle nose pliers. That's just for curling the ends of the pipe cleaners. So I've got fabric, felt, pipe cleaners, paper, pen, iron, bit of a glue gun, We won't use that very much. I've got my paint here. So what we're using with paint today is just craft acrylics. These are just cheap acrylics. I've got red, yellow, and white. I've put them out on a little palette. This is just a food tray, splodges, and then I'm using what do you call them? Cotton buds to splodge the paint on. So I think we're going to start with that painted butterfly. So if you just bear with me while I put the camera down so you can see my work surface. Okay, here we are. So I'm just using just ordinary black paper out of a pad of children's coloured paper. Now, I don't know whether in the light you can see that because it's printed on red, but this is the butterfly template. There's 5 different butterflies on it. The one I've chosen is this one because I think it's got a really nice shape to it. So I've cut that out, and then I would draw the shape out on black paper, and then cut it out. If you're going to do more than one of these, it's a good idea to sort of fold your paper so that you can cut out more than one at a time. So if you fold it, so you've got a flap like that, that's the size of your butterfly, and then put your butterfly on it. You're cutting out 2 at a time. Now, just to save a little bit of time, because today we've got 3 things to go through, I've already cut my butterfly out. I did it last night. So here's my butterfly. I'm going to just fold it so that the fold goes right through the middle of the body, and that is where it makes it nice and even. What you don't want is it's not easy to do because it's quite narrow, the body bit. What you want is for the 2 sides to meet up, so they're more or less the same. Slightly up, because the reason for that is so you don't squidge paint everywhere. So it's very, very simple. You decide what pattern you want. I went for something that looked a little bit like a Red Admiral, and then, but you can choose whatever design you like. Particularly the kids might just want to put, you don't have to use black. You can use any coloured paper. You don't have to use the colours I'm using. You can use any, but they're nice in blues and purples. So the first thing I'm going to put on is my white paint. So I'll get a little bit of white paint on the end of my, well, a little bit. I said a lot actually, because you want quite a big splodge. And I started by putting one, and you only do it on one side because you're going to fold it over. So I put one there, and I put one there. So quite a nice big splodge, so it spreads. And then I put a little bit there and a little bit there, so less there. And then my yellow, again, I'm getting quite a bit on my cotton bud. I put in the middle. So 1. Sometimes if you just twirl it, you get more paint off. 1, 2, 3. So that'll probably merge together when I squish it. And then some red there. And the wind's really getting up outside now, I can hear it. And there. So I'll hold that up and show you. So you can see how I've got my pattern on one side of my paper. So what I'm going to do now is fold it again. Careful not to get it all over my fingers. So my sides meet up, and then I'm actually going to use a bit of tissue because the paint does squidge out a bit at the side, and I don't want to get it on everything. So I can wipe up as a squidge. I think that's gone very squidgy, but we'll see what it looks like. This is an old board, so it doesn't matter if I get paint all over it. And when you peel it open, oh, that's very different to my other one. There we go. I think that's really good. Now, what you would do if you want to do the other side is leave that to dry. It should take a couple of hours to dry, and then do the same on the reverse. I've got a bit of paint squidged on my reverse, but I don't think it'll matter. I need to make sure I don't get paint on my fabric now. So that's quite nice. That's quite easy to do. And as I say, you can either suspend them on maybe like some sewing cotton, quite thin, hang them in a window. That would be really nice. Or you could put them on skewer or a piece of wire and pop them into a flower arrangement or something. The kids can even just stick them on the window with blue tack. But I think they're really nice, those, and very, very simple to do. So I'm just going to pop that to one side, try and clean off my hands a little bit. Move my paint so that doesn't get on everything. I still haven't managed to get your feed up. I'm going to try again. If you're out there, say hello, give us a wave. Yeah, got you now. I'm just going to say hello to Eleanor. I know Eleanor quite well. I'm glad she's watching. Right, so the second one I'm going to show you is the paper folded one. So this one. Now, bear with me with this one. I've had to write the instructions down because I keep forgetting the fold. I'm just not I've got very good memory anymore. So I'll open my book and then I'll be able to show you properly. Right, so in here I've got some origami paper. Now I bought this ages ago. It's really nice. It's got loads and loads of colours, so you could choose any colour you like. I did a pink one before, so I'll do a different colour this time. I think I'll go, what's the butterfly colour? Let's go with this nice blue. Okay, I'll put that to one side. So this is the fold. You fold it in half. That way. And then open it out again. Then you're going to fold each corner into the middle like this. So you're making like an aeroplane shape. That doesn't look, I know what I've done wrong. Should have cut it in half first. I told you I have a terrible memory. So I'm cutting that in half. I thought it looks too big, that the points should be smaller. So you put one half to one side and then you fold that in half again. And then you fold these points in. I thought, oh, that's better. That's more like it. Origami is something that I never remember. I always have to look at the instructions. Do that, and then you do the same at the other end. Just looking at my instructions. So, and then you fold it in half that way. So what you've got is a sort of boat shape. Right, now you pleat it. I'm just going to have a look at my other one to make sure I'm doing this right. Yeah. So you concertina pleat it, which is, and it's about 1/2 centimetre you want your pleats to be. So we're going to fold it like that from the long end, and then you fold it over again. What you're looking for is like a concertina, like a fan. And I should get I get another fold out of it. I'm just about. If you're very good at this, or if you use a large piece of paper to start with, you can probably get more folds out of it, but I'm not awfully good at this pleating, so that's how many folds I'm getting out of mine. So that's the first piece. So the second piece of paper, you just fold it, starting from the short end, and you do the same pleats all the way up. Obviously you get more in this piece. Nice thing to be crafting on a horrible, horrible morning, because we're all indoors. So this one, although it's a little bit more complex than the other one, is also, it's older children could easily manage this. I can imagine anybody on school holidays has now got a house full of butterflies, or will have after the broadcast. I don't think my pleats, I'm going to get 2 more pleats out of that. Just the bottom one's bigger. Okay, so now we've got our 2 pleated pieces, and all we do now is pinch them in the middle. So that's your top wings, and these are your bottom wings. So you're going to pinch them and then spread them out. We're going to fasten these 2 pieces together in the middle that way with our pipe cleaner. Okay, so I'm going to pick out a pipe cleaner. What have I done with it? I had a nice white one that would go with the blue. No, oh, there it is. So what I did was I nipped off about 2 inches, maybe a little bit more, about that much. This is to make my antenna with. Where did I put my little pliers? Just bear with me a minute because I'm going to switch my iron on for the next item. Right, so you pinch it in the end and you just make a little coil so you get the sort of little round ends to your antenna. I'm just giving that a little bit of a swirl to make a little bit of a bobble on the end. Fold it in half in the middle. Okay, so then you're going to take your pleated pieces, so your bottom piece and your top piece, put them together so that they're pinched together in the middle, and then you're going to lay your antenna also along the middle. Now the way I did this was I just bent a little bit over, so again about the same length you made for your antenna, and I put that over my pinch and then quite tightly twisted like that, so that you've got a little bit long, a bit thicker pipe cleaner bit, that's your body. Now you just, I'm not very even, I'm just going to even that a little bit smart to once that bottom bit is a bit further in than it should be. So I'm going to bend the bottom wings down and then spread out the pleats. On both sides. I'm going to point my little antenna up a bit. If they're a little bit wobbly, loose, you can just twist them a little bit, and that just holds them in place a bit better. So you might need to just pull at your concertinas a little bit just to make sure that they're spreading out, because sometimes they just pop back again. And that's it, your butterfly's finished. So that's quite a nice one for the children. And again, these are lovely if you pop them in a vase of flowers on the stem. If you didn't want to have the stem on, you could just cut it off. In fact, I will, because that's different than to the one I did earlier. So there's your butterfly. This is where's the other one? The pink one. And the blue one. Quite pretty, aren't they? I quite like them. My house is going to be fluttering with flutterbys. Okay, so those 2 are both paper. So we're going to look now at one that's a fabric that will stand up to the weather a little bit better. So I've got 2 things here. I've got some felt. This is cheap acrylic felt because it's stiffer. It gives you a better finish. And I've got some really nice fabric. I've also got my Bondi web, which I'm going to use to stick it together, so I don't need to use I've lost something. What am I looking for? My circles. I might have put my circle template away. Oh no, there they are. So you're cutting 2 circles for this one instead of the rectangles we had before, and one of them is a 4-inch circle and one is a 3-inch circle. That's diameter. I have all these templates already cut out, so it's quite easy for me to just get on and do it. So I'll show you it's in the fabric first, because we're going to use the bonder web. So rather than drawing the circle template out onto my fabric, I draw it out onto the bonder web on the paper side, and then that just makes it a little bit easier, I think. Let me find my pencil. Oh dear, I put everything in the tray ready, but then of course it all gets jumbled up because I'm searching for stuff. There we go. So just draw around the template of the circle. If you're not using bonder web, you could use a fabric glue. You could, as I go along, I'll explain if you're going to sew them, where you sew them. So if you're going to sew them, you don't need the bonder web. Yeah, so let's get that clear at the start. So I'm going to draw my smaller circle, which is 3 inches in diameter. Put those to one side. So don't need the bonder web now. I'm going to cut round this circle. Now the important thing with the bonder web is, believe me, I've done it myself, make sure you put it paper side up when you iron it on, otherwise you end up with a nasty gluey mess all over your iron. I'm just using my paper scissors to cut out the bonder web, but when I come to cutting out the fabric, I will use my proper fabric scissors. They're much sharper. I try to keep them just for fabric. Okay, so there's my circles. This is my pretty fabric. I'm not sure where I got this, but it's very pretty. So I'm going to put that, actually going to put my ironing mat underneath it first. That just helps protect my table. I'm going to lay my circle glue side down, paper side up, and then just run the iron over it. Oh, that's not come on. That's clever. I must have switched it off instead of switching it on. Right, we'll just pop that to one side for a minute while my iron steams up, and then in the meantime I'll show you it in the felt. So with the felt, you just draw straight onto the fabric your circles. Where's the pen? Just bear with me a sec while I get my erasable pen. Okay, the iron's warming up now. I pressed the wrong switch when I put it on. So I'm drawing my circles, not very successfully. My pen seems to have dried up. Hey ho, I'll just use a felt tip pen. See, this day's been, I'm sure the weather's affecting everything this morning. My wee dog's not well either, so it's been a bit stressful. Right, so I nearly touched the iron then to see if it's hot. That would have been a bit silly, wouldn't it? Is anybody else out there? We have a few people watching. Drop a comment, say hello, tell me what the weather's doing where you are. As I said, this felt is one of the cheap acrylics, and I buy it simply because it's like paper. You can cut it like paper and it's quite stiff. It's not suitable for everything, where you need to have a more pliable felt. Well, you might want to, shape or fold, but this is quite good if you want it to be a little bit stiff. Right, so that's my 2 felt circles for later. I'm going to go back now to my fabric because my iron's heated up. Right, so put the fabric back on the, oh, wrong way up. That would help. Put it back on the ironing mat, and that's my bigger circle. Can you see? Yeah. And I'm just going to iron over it. You just hold the hot iron on top and it eventually will stick. You can just flick it at the edge and you'll know it's stuck. And then I'll do the smaller circle. Over the years of using Bondaweb, whilst being on Virtual Village Hall, I've had lots and lots of people give me advice about how to get the paper up afterwards, because that's the thing I really struggle with. So hopefully the best method I've found is a pin. I've got my pin cushion here, I have, yes. So I'm just going to cut up that. I'm going to take it right to the top because that little bit will just be hanging on the fabric. And then cut round your circles. Irene's online. She's up in Argyle and says it's very wet and windy. Well, it will be. Actually, we've been downgraded our storm warning from amber. I'm in the northwest to yellow, whereas Scotland's has been upgraded, I think. So that'll be why. Anne's there too. Wet and windy in Staffordshire. I don't think there'll be anywhere that's escaping from this this storm. It's quite unusual to have a storm like this in the summer. Quite often get thunderstorms. You don't often get one that's like got a gale in it. The trees are really thrashing outside my window now, which they weren't first thing this morning. So needless to say, it'll be a lot of indoor things today. I'm very busy getting my latest postbox topper ready. So that's what I'm doing this afternoon. I've also started spinning wool again. I used to do it, then I got a shoulder injury and couldn't do it. And just because I had my shoulder operation done, I've started again because my friend from Ireland brought me 2 Jacob's fleeces when she came over. So I'm having a go. Right, so this is the pin method. You pierce through the paper. Even that's not that easy. But you don't want to go into the fabric. Maybe my pin's not very sharp. And you try and eBay gum. That's a very northern expression. Patience. So what you want to do is just try and ease the paper away. I have tried in the past. You can peel it sometimes from the edge. I never have much success peeling it from the edge. Once you've got a little bit up, you can tear it or open. You want to get it off without peeling the paper into 2 pieces. You want to peel the paper away from the glue. And my nails have grown back a bit, so it makes it a little bit easier. But you also want to get the paper and not the glue, which is the difficult thing. I think it's coming now. Yeah. And you can feel, oh, no, I've got the glue as well. Just let me heat that again, because it may be that I didn't heat it enough for it to stick down. Right, let's try that. I'll try it at an edge. Oh, it's hot now. There. Nope. Still not doing it. Sorry. Bear with me, folks. Today's been not a good day. As I say, my little dog's not well. So we've been up and down with him all weekend. I should have done this before I come on air, shouldn't I? I should have done a he's one I've done earlier, but hey ho. I don't know why it's being so stubborn. I got it off a lot quicker yesterday. Sorry about this. Sometimes if you roll it, it pulls back in a way a bit easier. Let me get a different pin. I don't think that one was. Sorry about this, folks. I really am. Pat saying, she hopes the dog gets better soon. Pat is old, and I think, you know, with the best will in the world, I think he's on his last legs. Sorry, folks. I know I keep apologising. Talk among yourselves. Don't know why it's been so stubborn today. Right, iron again. Ah, you can hear it when it starts to peel away from the glue rather than leaving the fabric behind. I don't know whether you can hear that. I don't know how good the sound is, but you get that sort of tearing. So that one's done. Right, it's just this one now. And I'm going to be a bit more ruthless with the pin. Right, let's see if that works. Ah, there we go. Again, I can hear it peeling away. Oh well, there we go. You can stop talking among yourselves now. So what we do with these is we want 2 semicircles. So if you were sewing them, you would fold it in half wrong sides together, and you would run a stitch all the way around, leaving a gap, and then you'd turn them out. Whereas with this, because we don't need to sew, we're just going to fold it in half with glue side together, and then we're going to glue it together with the heat again. And same with the smaller half circle. And then after this, it's basically the same as your the paper one. I'm going to cut that little bit of antenna. Just put the little bends on the end. So that's my antenna. This is going to be my body bit. I'm not going to do a long tail on it this time. So again, the large piece is your top, and you pleat it again. It won't fold like the paper did. It won't stay together. So what I usually do is put the pin in. That just holds it together, hopefully. And that's where this comes in handy as well, this felted board, because that will hold it for me. And I do the same with the other half, and I usually pleat up from the bottom towards the long edge and fold the long edge in. And then again, I'm going to pull that out. It's not quite in the middle there. Pinch it in the middle so you've got even sized, and I think you want it to go so the points are going down on this one and the points going up on the other one. And then I'm going to just pin that together again without pinning my fingers. So that just makes it a little bit easier to hold while you wrap around your pipe cleaner. So you're going to again put your antenna on the top and wrap your pipe cleaner around everything. So I'm going to put it halfway, cross it over, and then twist. Take the pin out now. So twisting those 2 bits together holds it nice and steady, and then you wrap the stems around each other so you've got a body shape. If they're long, just sort of, you can just turn the ends up a little bit, and then you just spread out your wings. You might need a little bit of finger pressing, so just, you know, press them with your fingers to keep them out unfolded. And then there's your butterfly. This is really cute. Now these, you can use them to decorate your wreath or put them in whatever, like we did with the paper ones, but they really would be nice on a hair clip, or you know those ties, the elastic ties you get to hold a ponytail. They'd be nice on that, or on your bag, or you could put a brooch back through there. They're so versatile, and excuse me, they're really pretty. Now if you are a competent sewer, or embroiderer, one thing you could do is before you fold your circles, you could embroider on the edges with blanket stitch or something decorative, and that would add more embellishment to it. You could also use beads on the antenna, little seed beads. You could stick sequins on. There's all sorts of things you could do. I'll show you with the felt. Where did I put the circles of felt? There we go. I'm going to use some beads on the antenna. So with the blue, I'll get this nice dark blue. I'll cut off my couple of inches of antenna. So instead of twirling the ends, we're still going to twirl the ends, but we're going to thread a bead on before we do. I've got these lovely seed beads in this nice, I've had these for ages, there's loads of them. I'm going to use pink. I seem to have a lot of pink. So just get one each of these beads. Now with my antenna, I'm going to poke them through, and then actually you don't need to twist it, I don't think. Put my other end on. Might need to twist them to just hold them on. So I'm just going to push it on a bit more, and then just curl that bit round to hold the bead. And then I'll just give it a fold, so you can see it's quite pretty with the little beads on. Now with these, we're obviously not going to, you could glue them, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to fold them and then concertina them. So I'm going to fold it. I'm going to concertina it up from the bottom. It doesn't take a fold like paper does, and it doesn't even take a fold as well as the fabric does. Another thing about the Bondi web is that it stiffens your fabric as well. So I'm just going to pin that like I did earlier, just to hold the concertinas in it. I'll do the second one, fold it in half, and then fold it up from the bottom. Oops, that's not proving very easy. And that one's come undone completely. Nothing wants to play today. We'll just not put as many folds in, that makes it easier. The windows are all in. Oh my goodness, it's really blowing now. The windows are all in then. We'll just put less folds in, I think that might make it easier. So there's all my folds. Add my antenna. Make sure I've got it in the middle. That one's upside down. Should be that way. So the points are on the edges. Put that on there and then go around it with the body bit, which again I'm going to just wrap a couple of times, I think. Hold it a bit better and then twist the ends together. Move my antenna up to the top. I'm a little bit uneven. So there, it is a little bit uneven where I've put my pipe cleaner body. Let's see if I can just pull that along a little bit. It doesn't want to play. There we go. So that's a slightly cockeyed butterfly, but you can see how easy it is with the felt as well, and you won't get any fraying edges, obviously, because felt doesn't fray. So I think they're lovely. I'll show you the whole collection. So there's the little fabric one I made today. You can see it. That's the fabric one I made yesterday. My paper ones are here. That's the pink one I made today, or the blue one I made today. So that again has got a short body on it. And the painted one that I did yesterday. It's just about dry. So this is the double-sided painted one. So let's turn the camera up. So what do you think? Have you enjoyed that? It certainly brightened up my dreary morning. I'm quite glad that I got a few made. So I am going to dot them about the house. My craft room is all hanging with things that I've made in the last couple of weeks. A lot of the things I've made can be hung up and dangled from things. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope the weather improves for all of you. I'm back again, I think, in 2 weeks. This one caught up with me because last week I was on last week and I thought it was a fortnight, but it wasn't. So the next session up is decorated tote bags. So it's going to be one of the simple canvas totes you can buy at the craft shops, and we're going to decorate it with a nice summer scene. So that's next week. Thanks for watching. I'll catch up with you soon. If you make any of these yourself, please send me pictures or post them up on the comments. If you're watching on catch up, let me know. I'll try and reply to everybody that I didn't reply to today. I'll let you know how my dog's doing next time I see you. Okay then, thank you very much and goodbye.